right. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're calling in. Thank you for making the time to join us today on an update on the Serendipity Collective. Let's just really briefly introduce our hosts. So I'm Patrick Rose. I'm with the German Federal Agency for Disruptive Innovation. Scott, you want to introduce yourself?
Certainly. I am Scott Walper. I'm with the Office of Naval Research Global.
And Kev?
Hi, I'm Kevin Silver. I'm the CEO and founder of Ideate Plus. So I'll talk you through the rapid innovation process that we have to. Thanks, Patrick.
Thanks. So this is an opportunity for you to ask questions and get more information about this event that we're planning. It is truly an experiment, and we're trying something completely different and something completely unconventional. So we're still trying to figure things out as we go ourselves, but we're really excited about this opportunity to, and I guess excited that you're interested in hearing what we have to say. So that's really exciting. We just have a couple of slides where we're going to talk a little bit about our organization, who we are, what we're thinking with this, and then we really want to open up the floor for you to ask any questions that you might have. Really, this is about an opportunity for you to understand what we're looking for, how we're going to be doing this, and how we're going to be engaging with you moving forward. So Scott, do you want to go to the next slide? Good. Okay. So when we drew this up, we really had a vision that we wanted to create a platform for people to present their ideas where they might not otherwise find any traction. That is why we've been really insistent on creating a platform where you can submit any ideas, unbiased, unencumbered by the thought process, to really present yourself and to come up with ideas that will truly be revolutionary and have the security and the assurance that you don't need to identify an application, or it doesn't need to be completely fleshed out in terms of what you want to do and how are you going to go about doing this. We called it the Serendipity Collective because we truly believe that if you take this approach of being agnostic to an application, you'll more likely find really interesting ideas that you hadn't thought about before. The other thing, if you go to the next slide, please, Scott, is that we really want you to work with teams that are multidisciplinary. It's very important for us to highlight that it's not just scientists and engineers, but artists and writers, social scientists, humanities, people from the humanities that have creative and impressive ideas on how to develop technology. And most times they're unencumbered by the constraints that we as scientists, I'm a scientist, set ourselves, or engineers set ourselves just by the laws that we come up and the way we approach things. So it might be that you don't have a team ready yet, and that's completely okay. At this point, what we want to do is we want you just to submit your crazy ideas and put them in. Extremely important for us is that we don't want anything that's solving conventional issues or problems of today. So you have the really unique flexibility to post something or submit something through the website that is a little bit more unclear, a little bit more vague in an idea, but that could be something really interesting. And what's important at this point is really for you to submit the idea through the platform that you can find on our website, and then start looking at what other ideas have been posted, and then start communicating with the community that has grown around the Serendipity Collective to really come up with ideas that you can get behind, or maybe pitching your idea to other people. I'll stop there and see if Scott and Kev want to add anything.
Yeah, so like Patrick said, the website is live. And one of the things we're really looking for here is this idea of building a community and letting the teams develop rather organically. So if you sign on to the Serendipity website, Serendipity Collective website, and join the community, you're able to see the ideas that have already been posted there. So of course, we want to hear everybody's crazy ideas. The more, the better. For those of you who know Patrick and I, you know, this is what we live and breathe. We like to hear what you're thinking and what your wildest ideas are, and come along for the ride, help you evolve those ideas as we move forward. So we're trying to do that on a bit grander scale and with more team members this time. So what we're really hoping is that you'll read through some of the concepts that are there and throw in your 2 cents, add your thoughts. How do you see this vision moving forward? What do you think the value is? How do you think you could contribute to some of these if you were on the team? There is an option to join teams, to become a part of a larger movement or group that revolves around a single idea, as well as to have people join your idea and your concept as well. And so it's a very interesting experiment that we're conducting here. We're hoping to generate ideas and then build communities around those ideas and concepts.
Great. Kev, any thoughts from your side?
No, I think you guys have covered that well. If we can go to the next slide, then I can just talk through the process a little bit.
Yeah.
So it looks like a busy slide, but it's actually quite simple. Basically, we have 3 phases. We have the ideate phase, whereby it's just creating the idea. It's about crowdsourcing a solution, you know, and that's Scott talked about. That's about collaborating with the ideas. And then basically, you know, you get to an invent phase whereby you're trying to design that, you know, move it from an idea to more of a tangible, well, sort of a concept, and be able to pitch that concept. And then finally, as you start your experiment, you know, you're really getting into the innovate phase. So we started this movement on the 1st of February. And then on the 18th of March, you know, we're closing the idea submissions, and we will choose the teams for Berlin around the 1st of April. And then the event will be on the 10th and 11th of May. And the penultimate event of that workshop would be the funding to at least, you know, say 3 to 5 teams. Then from that, the ones who do get funded, and maybe some of the ones that don't as well, you carry on your experiment, and then you collect the necessary evidence that you have to collect. And then you regroup and say, okay, these are the things that we were hoping that we would achieve, but these are the serendipitous results that came out of it as well. And we want to be there for you to tell us about that as well, and then potentially look for additional funding at that stage.
Good, and thanks. And I think we have some exciting news. If we go to the next slide, since you have taken the time to join us, we can share this with you because this is not public yet. We have a very cool location in Berlin that we're going to be hosting this event at. It will be at the Fabrik 23. So we're really excited about this. It's a great venue to be inspired, I guess, to think about great things, to interact with people, and have a good time. I think that's ultimately what we're hoping to do, is really get together and think about what the future might look like. And we're not only going to talk about it and think about it, but we're also going to be supporting you and trying to get some of these ideas going moving forward. Okay, I think there's one more slide, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so this is a point where we really want to open this up to you, because you're our stars for this event. All the information on how to interact with us is on the website here. You can certainly follow us on LinkedIn, and if you have any questions or if you have any concerns, there's also an email address to move forward. So at this point,
one thing, Patrick, also wanted to say that, you know, this meeting is being recorded as well. And we will actually place that within the website if you want to access it at a later time, and all for all the people who couldn't join as well.
Yeah. Thanks. So at this point, what we would offer is please raise your hand and feel free to ask us any questions you want. Nothing's off the table. While we wait for the first questions, I'll go through the process again. So you go on the website, you submit an idea. You don't have to have a team. You certainly should try to work towards recruiting a team. You should work towards creating an interdisciplinary team. Your idea doesn't have to be fully mature. It should just be something really fascinating and interesting that you think is something we need to solve in the future. We're not trying to solve problems of today or tomorrow. So we're not looking for products. We're not looking for mature ideas. We're really trying to figure out how can we think about things that we'll need in the future that nobody knows they need right now. We're also trying to inspire people and create a platform where you can safely interact and say crazy things that might be quite interesting. And the whole energy around it is, why do we always have to wait for a crisis to be innovative or to really drive innovation forward? Why does it have to be a climate crisis? Why does it have to be a geopolitical crisis for us to wait before we start changing the way that we are actually functioning and working as a society? Why can't we create a platform where you can pitch your ideas and you'll get support for those ideas and start them now before the next crisis happens? And that's really the motivation of what we were trying to do here with this event. So no questions. Everybody knows what they need to do. So they're all going to go to the website and log in and submit your ideas. Is that how I'm taking this?
Well, I have a question.
Go ahead, Felix.
Scott, maybe you can
Yeah.
just turn off the sharing so that we can see the people, the questions. Cool, thanks.
Felix, go ahead.
Yeah, so I have a question about the team building and what are the requirements there? Because right now I'm a guy with an idea. I have a partner, but what are the requirements? What are you looking for in a team?
Yeah, so there's
What's the goal there?
Yeah, so the goal of having a team that is interdisciplinary is to increase the unique approaches and distinctive perspectives that you're going to use to present your idea. So if you have an idea, then what we want to do is we want people with different perspectives, different approaches to contribute to that idea to make it even bigger and more fantastic than it is already. But also to help describe the idea, because we're talking about ideas that are not necessarily completely mature. As I had mentioned, they still need some help to figure them out or to really refine or define the things that individuals would work on. And to do that, we believe that having this interdisciplinary team with artists and social scientists and writers and others will help to define that idea and to really focus it onto something quite interesting, even more interesting than we could have come up with as an individual. So you don't have to have a team right away. You can certainly work on the platform to identify other team members. We can also help you find other team members to come forward. I don't expect us to have 10 fully formed teams, although that is our goal. To the event, we might just be inviting lots of individuals and a couple of teams to come forward and present their ideas, and then the rest, who are individuals, would then partner with others to come forward and create teams.
Basic idea is to have people together where you have a bunch of ideally a bit different brains that can
Yes.
internally throw the idea back and forth.
Yes.
Mix
We're
it up.
interested in great, crazy ideas, but we're also interested in crazy people as well, and people that we think, you know, can actually contribute and help push the ideas forward.
Philippe?
Thank you.
Yeah, good, yeah. Good morning, at least for me. It's an interesting initiative. I have two questions. First one is how do you define idea in the context of what you are setting up? Is it like very high level? You know, I'm going to give an idea that will answer one of the United Nations goals, or is it something like a very technical idea that, you know, making a small tool that could help people in their workshop? That's the first question. And the second question is what is the role of the big organizations that you are representative of, like Scott for ONRG and you, Patrick, Sprindy?
Okay, excellent questions, Philippe. It's so good to hear your voice again. So the first one is what are we hoping that you'll present? There are many platforms, many grant funding organizations or funding organizations in general. There's venture capital, many different funding organizations that support technology development, some more advanced than others. The way that we're trying to distinguish ourselves from those others is that you don't have to have the blueprints for a tool, or you don't have to have the solution in mind of what it needs to be. It's more that you are focused on a vision to say, oh, wouldn't it be cool that we could do something really interesting? It could apply to the UN sustainability goals. It could apply to something else, but we don't necessarily want to say, okay, I'm going to redefine the way a screwdriver looks or how the iPhone should work. It should be a lot more agnostic to an application. A vision or a mission is absolutely perfect in how are you going to approach it. Hopefully that answers that question. So there's really no pressure. The more abstract, the better, quite honestly, in terms of what we're trying to do. Okay, second question was what's behind this organization or this event? There are two organizations. I'll let Scott talk for his organization. I'll talk for mine. But in the end, we're really two organizations that are interested in disruptive technology innovation. Technology could be a process, it could be a tool, it could be something that we haven't thought about yet. And ultimately, what we're trying to do is create a platform where we can support individuals who have ideas that might not find any traction in any other platform. Scott and I spend a lot of our time traveling around the globe and looking for ideas, and really this is an opportunity for us to bring people together into the same location and support those ideas and hear them out. From my perspective, just from the German Federal Agency for Disruptive Innovation, we're a young and new organization, only 3 years old. We have been given a mandate to really drive disruptive technology innovation where others don't fit in. And our goal is, as a government organization, to step in where there's too much risk, there's too much abstract thinking, for others to really jump in and fund technology development and step in and fund it and try to make those things happen. I'm really convinced that government agencies like ours play an important role in driving technology forward where nobody else is willing to do it. Too often, other funding agencies want an application or want so much preliminary data that you pretty much have completed the work already, and we're not interested in any of that. So that's my perspective from Sprint. Scott, you want to just talk about global?
Sure. So as Patrick mentioned, we have similar roles with our different agencies, institutions. So ONR Global is a bit older, of course, a little more than 80 years old now, but we've had the same mission for the duration or for our life, where we're really looking for these creative ideas, and we're willing to invest in the very high risk type research. So Global is likes to come in as a very early investor. So before you have an established technology, before you're looking for an application, to really explore science at the forefront, similar to some of the models that we're all familiar with, the scientists and engineers like the Bell Labs and the Roche laboratories, that used to be more prominent, where scientists were given the freedom to explore their ideas and to see what comes out of it without having to worry about publishing in science or rolling out a product within 2 to 3 years. And so that's really what we're looking to support here at Global, and with our partnership in Sprint, is to bring together this community to reinvigorate that type of thinking, where a scientist is able to just create and see what they can come up with, without being certain that it's going to yield any valuable product. I think that's where science is lacking these days, that we're also laser focused on how can we get published, how can we sell this idea in order to get funded by these large agencies. And I think that limits or stifles very creative thinking. And so that's my favorite part of ONR Global, for those of you who know me and have engaged with me, is really hearing about your concept and trying to push it further and further to where it does get into that realm of science fiction or science fantasy. You know, what can we think about that no one else is doing? So to keep Patrick and I from rambling too long, because I know we're pretty bad about it. Irene, you have a question?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. I have 3 short questions. The first is a practical one regarding the level of description and extension in lines or format for the submission of the idea in the first stage. What is more or less what you expect?
So Irene, that's entirely up to you. If you look at the website, we have there's a pretty good diversity of how much information people have given. Some people have what looks like almost a full proposal, or at least a white paper on there that has all of the details about their technology. But you don't have to have that. What you really want to do is to inspire, or what we really want you to do is inspire a conversation. And so oftentimes, if you just put a few lines down about your concept and what you're thinking, you know, in order to draw people in to start that conversation, that can be very valuable. But we're not limiting how people apply or what they put online. So when you do sign on and you look, you'll see that people have attached PDF files or Word documents that give more detail about their concept, but some people just have a paragraph that's in there to kind of inspire. So either way is fine.
Okay, thank you. And then once we submit the idea, who will have access to the idea description? The people in the platform, I guess, or?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, so the thought really is, and what we're relying on is this idea of the community, the collective, and the crowdsourcing of the idea. And so anybody who signs onto the website and joins can see all of the ideas and all of the comments that have been posted. Okay.
And just the third question, last question, is about the time of the experiment. If I saw correctly, it's like 3 to 8 months, or because also this might, depending on how crazy the idea is, might be like short, and then this also might somehow condition the
Yeah,
the ideas.
right. So the time to experiment and the experimental phase of this project is going to vary from project to project, right?
Okay.
I mean, keep in mind that we're talking for crazy ideas that maybe won't be realized for a couple of decades, right? So, I mean, what can you really do with 3 to 6 months and $50,000 in 3 to 6 months? And so, but I think that will be done on an individual level, and it'll be part of what we discuss in the May event. But what I envision, and of course, Patrick's vision and Kev's vision may be a little bit different, but the way I would like to see this go is with a small little bit of capital, maybe refine your idea over the 3 to 6 months, do run a preliminary experiment. I still think as a scientist, as a biologist, so maybe pull the team together and create a model, run some design of experiments, see what that looks like. Because what we'll want to do is just to kind of kickstart a team and a concept that then apply for larger grants later. But what we want to do is to bring you guys together, to bring these teams together, to flesh out these ideas a little bit more and to kind of discuss what is going to be necessary to realize that, and then how you move forward over the first year, if that makes sense.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much.
Excellent questions, Irene. Thank you. You can see that we're still, a lot of this is going to be a challenge because it's not a traditional research investment that you would normally do. And that's okay. For everybody, it's going to be a little bit of a different experience.
Okay.
Any other questions? Scott, there were some other questions from people in the chat, which you wanted to maybe just quickly go over those.
Okay, yeah, definitely, Kev. Okay, so let's see. The first from Isaac, of course, was how do we submit, or how many ideas can you submit? Do feel free to put as many ideas up there as you want. When I had my lab, when I was a PI, I had Post-it notes all over my office of individual ideas. I know that all of us as researchers, as creative minds, will have multiple ideas. Feel free to put up as many as you want to share. That is fine. Geographical limitations and how can this be actualized? So we're really hoping to have a global reach here. So we've sent out the LinkedIn posts and information and emails to targeted groups around the world. I mean, our vision really is to have teams that are assembled with a global perspective. Maybe you have a friend in Africa, maybe you don't know a researcher in Africa that wants to join your idea, and we end up with these teams that are spread from all over the world, because we all speak a different language, we all have a different understanding, we all have different scientific ambitions that are often based on where we're located in our geographical regions. And so in our mind, it would be great if we could start to pull together these teams, these different ideas, these different concepts to build this community. So no limits on the geographical reach, application, teams, so nothing there, no holds barred. And then let's see. Okay, sorry, I'm reading as we go. Okay, so let's see, Nigel, you can choose who's on your team, certainly, but we're also hoping that teams will develop between now and the March deadline as things move forward, that maybe someone comments on your idea and you're like, that's a really interesting concept, and you reach out to that person in order to bring them into the fold and help build your team a little bit further. But definitely, because we are looking for diverse teams, if you know somebody who you think would be beneficial to your project, definitely bring them along and add them into your team.
Yeah, I can take the one from Thomas.
Okay.
So, where do we present ourselves on the website? So it depends. If you've got an idea already, you can actually present yourself within your idea as an attachment to that idea. Now, if you don't have an idea and you want to actually comment on it, that's where I'd suggest that you comment on specific ideas and give a brief introduction about yourself so that people understand, the credibility or your motivation as well. Hopefully that makes sense, Thomas.
So the question about encouraging people to join this, of course, is, as we keep saying, this is an experiment. And one of the things that we're really working on here is how do you encourage people to join individual groups? Please lead the charge on that one. Read through other people's ideas, see what catches your interest, and add comments to their concept. See what what is involved, see how you can contribute, and definitely reach out to your network for us. We're very much relying on social media and word of mouth to promote this event. I'm a biochemist, molecular biologist. My knowledge of the artist community is very small. And so we're relying on you all to kind of spread the word and bring these people in. But yes, how do we build the teams? How do we encourage people to join? You know, we're counting on you guys to help us with that as much as possible.
And once you're on the platform, there's various ways in which you can actually add your value as well. So one of the ways is you can actually, there's a join the team button, and you can actually ideas that you're really motivated by and you feel that as though you could add some value, join the team. But you can also comment on different ideas, and then you can also share that idea. And we can see, you know, the ideas that you're sharing and commenting as well, so that we can value your contribution through that as well. So as Scott said, please share it in your network, but you can also join the teams within the platform itself.
Excellent questions.
Yes, I have a question regarding the team again. I am seeing about 28 names on this Zoom agenda, but there are about 70 persons on the list. What do the other 40 do respecting this program?
70 people registered on the website, you mean?
Yeah. No, I have
in
read 70 persons on the list
on the
that
invitation.
can take care at this
Oh.
conference.
Oh, on the event, I see. Yeah. Yes, so our goal is to invite about 10 teams of 5 people, and the rest will be some coaches, and then we have some very exciting, I think they're stars, rock stars, a science fiction writer, Matthew de Abaitua. We have an amazing artist, Louise Aggersnaps, who's coming. We also have a social scientist / economist from University of Washington, St. Louis, Marcus Baer, who's going to be joining us, who looks at innovation and teams. And then there'll be a bunch of us from ONR Global and Sprint and Ideate Plus who'll be supporting the event.
Yes.
Excellent question. Good.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Here's your chance now to ask questions. Even to test us if you think your idea is not crazy enough.
I wonder, there was something like you can submit ideas till the 18th, I guess, but it seems like it's still open. So is it still possible to submit all the stuff that is available in Brains?
Yes, we'll leave it open until the 18th of March. Not February, of March. Yeah.
Ah, okay. So
there's a question on how tightly are artists defined. Architects are certainly open to that as well. We do indeed want someone who has less of an engineering or a science background as well as part of your team. We're really insistent on that because it makes all the difference in the world. I'm a huge science fiction fan, and I really like to read science fiction from the 50s and 60s. So if you have any recommendations, please send them my way. But in the meantime, science fiction writers and artists get to see the world completely unconstrained by the laws of physics, by the laws of chemistry and biology. And that's why we want to include them, because they have visions that we ourselves as scientists will never have because we constrain ourselves by those laws. Hence, going back to science fiction from the 50s and 60s, there are oftentimes things that they had written in there that sounded so outlandish at the time, I'm sure, but today is something that is completely feasible and not as crazy as it sounds. And so that's, Nigel, why we're hoping also to include scientists. I'm sorry, artists and science fiction writers and to join as well.
And one of the things we're really looking for here is to bring together people who speak a different language, right? Not just an actual verbal language, but a different way of viewing the world and understanding, as Patrick had said. So, I mean, people who are social scientists, who are artists, who are musicians, they look at things with a different eye than we do as scientists and engineers. And so it's that component that we want in the individual teams, right? Someone to think about your project, your concept in a very different way and in a different light, in, you know, based on their experiences in their life. And so I think that's a critical component to evolve these teams and these concepts. Tayo, you have a question?
You had a question.
Was it me? Hi.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you for this initiative. Is great. I have a question. You have on the website. You say you want ideas which are not funded before, or so, something like this. So, is it a how to say absolute limitation? So, if I have had a funding before, is my idea out of the challenge also?
No, but you're going to have to convince us that it is as outlandish as we were hoping it to be. So I think that's the higher obstacle or hurdle that you have to overcome. Okay,
perfect. Thank you.
So Thomas was asking a question of me giving an example of a science fiction idea that I would find inspiring in the past. Where to start? Now you're putting me on the spot. Even if you go back into the future, they had hoverboards. I love those ideas of hoverboards. The hoverboards are coming into fruition, and now that people are working on them, I think that was a totally exciting idea. There was a 1964 book called Simulacron 3, which was filmed twice, and I think a little bit of an inspiration for The Matrix. Where they were building these virtual realities that were completely independent of machines and modeling. So creating an artificial intelligence that we would dream of today. And you know, a lot of the gaming platforms are moving in that direction. So I think there are a bunch of examples like that I find totally fascinating. Isaac was asking, is it advisable to join another team? An idea on the platform when I have an idea submitted as well. I feel like it's going to be a competition against oneself. I don't know, Isaac, I'm not sure I know how to answer that last part of competition against yourself. If you're totally inspired by something on a platform, then nothing is precluding you from putting something down and joining another team. This is going to be a very dynamic situation where people will see what you put down, where you might find something interesting. We want you to collaborate. This is all about that social interaction, that emotional contagion, to start working with each other, to get to know each other. And I think then the ideas that we want to move forward for the May event will float to the top. And thanks, Kevin, for answering that one. So let's see, Jens, you had a question.
It was a little bit in the direction of Serendipities itself. I did 2 entries trying to be heretic in the direction of non-product serendipities. And from what has been spoken and what I've seen there is more like company focus, product focus. Which kind of serendipities do you focus on? Or is it let it happen?
We're going to let it happen. I'll tell you, if you have a product or if you are a company and you already have a process, that's going to be less interesting for us than if you have a much more abstract idea that has a much more high risk because you're not sure how it's going to be developed or defined or designed, for that matter. At the moment, we will never exclude anybody. We're always open to everybody's ideas. But when we start refining them, we're certainly going to be looking more at the abstract, crazy ideas, because we're not another platform to fund products or prototypes of something.
Yeah.
So it's more like in the
And-
concepts of getting the idea of a circle than developing a bike.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to Patrick's point, I mean, if you are a company or an established group and you've put an idea on there, I mean, don't worry about it, we'll review it. But then what we want to look at is those ideas that you haven't put on there and you've got it in your drawer because you didn't feel that investors would, you know, bite on them. So please put out those ideas as well and let's have a look at them.
Good. Excellent questions, everybody. We hope you're excited. Hopefully we gave you a chance to better describe or hear from us what we're thinking and how we're doing. This doesn't end here. We're going to have another session this afternoon if you want to join, but we can also interact with you on the platform or on via email. And to be respectful of everybody's time, I hope you have a great day wherever you are. We'll end the session.